We're live, Mayor Buckles.
Okay, thank you, Clerk Robert, and welcome to the 91st meeting of the 7th Council of the Municipality of South Dundas on Monday, June the 14th. I'd like to call this meeting to order by a roll call, please.
Mayor Buckles.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Present.
Councillor Lewis.
Present.
Councillor Mellon.
Present.
Councillor Wells sends his regrets. CEO Garrity.
Present.
Treasurer McMillan.
Here.
CBO Lowy.
Here.
Chief Morehouse.
Here.
Manager of Parks and Recreation Marcellus.
Here.
And Deputy Treasurer Mason.
Here.
Thank you, Mayor Buckles.
Thank you. Confirmation of agenda. Is any additions, deletions, and amendments? We'll start with Mr. Clerk.
We do have one amendment. Item 10D has been moved to discussion items. As well, 3 closed sessions were on the agenda that didn't show up on the public-facing version. We have one regarding litigation or potential litigation, one regarding the security of the property for the municipality, and one about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees.
Okay, that's all noted. Any further additions, deletions, or amendments from any member of council? Deputy Mayor Gardner, please.
Thanks, Mayor Byveld. Quick items for discussion. One, compost days, and 2, just a quick farmers market discussion in Morrisburg.
Okay. I have noted them down. They will be after the poll of 10D, so they'll be E. Part A and part B. Anything else for any other member of council at this time? Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none, I'll call for the adoption of minutes, please.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that the minutes of the 88th regular and in-camera meetings, the 89th special and in-camera meeting, and the 90th special and in-camera meetings of council be adopted as circulated.
Any discussion on any of those items, council? Seeing none, I'll hear the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Move on to the public meeting. Please open.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that the public meeting to consider 3 zoning bylaw amendments be opened at 6:04 p.m.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, carries. I have a statement here to read before we start our meeting. I now declare the public meeting held by the Council of Municipality of South Dundas under section 17, 21, and 34 of the Planning Act to be open. There are 3 zoning bylaw amendment applications being considered this evening. West Park 26, Lot 7, 12574 Barclay Road. Number 2 is concession lot C Common, Part Lot 18 and 19, Matilda 4766 County Road 16. And the third one is concession 4, Part Lot 31, Matilda 8R5333, Part 3, 4428 County Road 1. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of or contrary to any of the proposed zoning bylaw amendments will be given the opportunity to do so. Before you make a presentation, I would ask that you provide your name and address. I am required by the Planning Act to advise you that if you not make an oral presentation tonight or a written submission before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is adopted by municipal council, you will not be entitled to appeal the decision to the local planning appeal tribunal. I'm also required to advise you that if you do not make an oral presentation tonight or a written submission before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is adopted by municipal council, you may not be added as a party to any hearing of an appeal before the local planning appeal tribunal. I will now ask our Director of Planning, Bylaw, and Building, Nicole Lowy, to provide a brief overview for the applications. Following the overview for each file, we will open the floor to anyone wishing to make an oral presentation on a specific application. So Nicole, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The first application is for the lot known as 12574 Barclay Road. This zoning bylaw amendment is required as a condition of consent to rezone the retained farm parcel to no longer permit residential use, and the minimum lot area being reduced from 300,000 square meters to 169,968 square meters. The zoning bylaw amendment is also required for the severed lot to reduce the minimum lot area of 4,000 square meters to 3,358 square meters, and a front yard depth of minimum 15 meters to 10 meters. We haven't received any public comment on this file, and planning sees no issues with the application.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this file, Clerk Robert?
No requests were made to participate this evening. Thank you.
Okay, any comments from any member of council on this? Okay, then we'll move on to zoning bylaw amendment for concession lot C Common Part Lot 1819 Matilda 4766 County Road 16, please.
This zoning bylaw amendment is for two consent applications, one being B7120, severed through a lot addition, roughly 36 acres from the subject property, to add it to an abutting property west, resulting in 16 acres of retained land. The second consent application is B7220, severed through a lot addition, roughly 16 acres, to add to an abutting property to the east, resulting in 51 acres of retained land. Both of these amendments will remove residential development on the retained lands per the official plan, and recognize that the reduced lot area and frontage of both of the lots. These properties are owned by the Dents family and are being retained by the Dents family, just being severed in different sections. No comments have been made by the public, and planning has no issues with the application.
Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments at this time, Clerk Robert?
None received. Nope.
Any comments or questions, concerns from council? Seeing none, then we'll move on to zoning bylaw amendment concession 4 Part Lot 31 Matilda 8R5333 Part 3 4428 County Road 1.
This property is at 4428 County Road 1, Carmen Road. The owner wishes to renovate the existing garage to have a temporary dwelling unit above it. The property did have a single family dwelling that did catch fire last year, and it was completely demolished. So they're hoping to live in the garage, and under the current zoning residential hamlet, the garage does not meet the minimum size requirements for the dwelling. So this is why the temporary use is being requested on this property. And I believe the temporary use is for a term of 3 years. We have not received any comments on the file from the public, and planning sees no issues with this application.
Okay, are there any public comments, Clerk Robert, on this file?
None received this evening.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns from any member of council on this file? Seeing none, then we can close the public meeting, please.
Moved by Councillor Melton, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that the public meeting to consider 3 zoning bylaw amendments be closed at 6:10 p.m.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Those opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move on to delegations. Tonight we have 2. First one is Muriel Lalonde, Executive Director, and Marie-Pierre Danjou, Communication and Community Development Agent for Interlude House, concerning the Interlude House overview. Welcome to South Dundas Council.
Thank you so much. Thank you, South Dundas, to having us tonight. Unfortunately, Muriel Lalonde, my executive director, wasn't able to make it with us tonight, so it's only going to be me. So I know your time is precious. I'll try to share my document with you, my PowerPoint. It's the first time I use this platform, but I think I'm going to be able to do it. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, we do, Marie Freya. Thank you very much. All the platforms tend to be similar. You just got to find the right button to make it work. So you're good.
Thank you. There's also a big storm going out there. So if ever I get out of power, I apologize in advance, but I think we're going to be great. So I
Go
know
ahead,
your time. I know your time is precious, and I know that some of us might watch the game tonight, so I'll go ahead. So Maison Interlude, who are we? Maison Interlude House is an organization that supports abused women across Eastern Ontario. All of our services are free and available to residents of Prescott, Russell, Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry counties. As a Francophone organization, we are proud to be able to offer our services in French and in English. In addition to help victims, MIH, which is the short name for Maison Interlude House, mission is to educate the community about violence against women and participate to fight to eradicate it. So we were founded in 1983, and we were established as a shelter for women victims of domestic violence. Over the years, MIH has grown into a full-service agency to better meet the needs of our victims. Initially, the territory served by MIH was limited to Prescott and Russell, but since 2003, our mandate has been expanded to provide services through our outreach services to the counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry. So yes, we're more than a shelter now, but still we do have one, and I'll have the pleasure to present it a little bit later. And we also have outreach services that we gave through our 6 satellite offices. And this is a really, really big part of what we're doing. You'll have the chance to see the numbers a little bit later on. We also offer help 24/7 for women victims of violence. We also have different program, which includes the AMIMO program. It's a partnership with a local organization that takes care of the pets of our user during their stay in the shelter or during relocation. We have the mandate to raise awareness. We'll talk a bit more about that later. And we also have a great, great, great volunteer network that helps us, which is called Hand in Hand. So yes, we're more than a shelter, but let's start with where MIH is coming from. So the shelter is open for women victims of violence, of course, for Prescott and Russell, both English and French, but also to French women in SDG as well. We have welcoming common areas, a daycare center, and a very private courtyard. We also have the presence of a counselor there 24/7. Of course, it's secure and confidential. And we have single rooms, and family rooms, depending on the needs of our users. But we have a capacity of 10 beds right now. Children and Teens program is normally also offered through our outreach services. But right now, because of COVID, we can only offer it in shelter because we're no longer able to go and meet the kids in their school, which is a secure way to reach them. So right now it's only at the shelter, but we hope that probably next year, starting in September, we'll be able to restart this program. And so the kids will get individual counseling and tools to understand what is the actual situation going on between their parents. Safety planning, of course, coping with changes within the family, and they'll learn about the cycle of violence. So outreach services, basically this is the same service that a woman will get in the shelter, but many of our users do not need to stay in a shelter because they've got friends or families, but they still do need support towards a life free from violence. So what they will get, whether they're in the shelter or not, throughout the 5 counties, they'll get safety planning, of course, we'll do needs assessment, individual counseling, assistance in finding and maintaining housing, budget, employment, legal accompaniment, and also we will refer them to other services if they need to. I've mentioned a little bit earlier that we offer help 24/7. It used to be only a phone crisis line that was open 24/7, but we've realized that with COVID-19, it might be really difficult for victims to ask for help through phone because of stay-at-home order, because of remote working as well. A victim might be trapped with an abuser all day long. So in December, we've launched Pas bien chez moi Prescott Russell, Unsafe at Home Prescott Russell, which is also open to women from SDG. It's called that way because it was financed by United Way Prescott Russell. But it's a service where they can text or chat with us. So it's really more discreet, might be easier to reach out for help if the partner is sleeping, having a nap. It's really more discreet. So we've launched this services in December and it seems to be really appreciated by our users. Normally, we would also offer groups, support groups, but of course, due to the pandemic, they're on hold at the moment. We have specific groups for girls, for young women, for parents, only for women as well. And we also animate groups with community partners. But in response to that, we, as everybody needed to do, went virtually. So we've launched webinars, conferences, and also podcasts. We have one that's live, and the second one will be launched tomorrow, in fact. And in order to meet our mandate to raise awareness, and we've realized that for us, what we're doing, since we're trying to get the information to the victims, that going virtual was actually a great idea because we do our webinars and our conferences over lunchtime. So that really gives a chance to everybody to meet. And in our specific field, well, it's really confidential. So you can go online, you can just change your name or write any name you want, and it's really confidential. And by the questions, we get on the chat, we realize that we have victims that are attending these events, and it might be really simpler and easier for them to just meet online than go in person. I said that I was going to talk to you about our volunteers, which are incredible. Our network is called Main dans la Main, hand in hand, and they're extremely precious. Because of them, we're able to offer transportation for a woman who wouldn't have a car, let's say, and she needs to go and meet her counselor. Well, we have volunteers that will go and pick them up at their place and go to one of our satellite offices. Same thing for childcare. We would go in a daycare center along with a volunteer. The volunteer will take care of our user's kid, and so it's a safe place. Of course, this doesn't happen at the victim's place because it might be a little bit risky. Let's say if the partner comes to the house. And they also take care of all the second goods and treasure that are generously offered by our community. And all of that is in our boutique. We call it Boutique Pastel. So for all of our users, all the items are free. So they can find clothing for the entire family, household items, appliances, furniture. But as soon as we're done with this pandemic, we hope to open to public as well. So people can buy items at very low cost for the community, for everybody. But for our users, they're all free for them. if we take a look at a few numbers, these are last year numbers because we're actually counting them right now as we speak for the year 2020 and 2021. So these are last year numbers, but to give you an idea, on the crisis line, we have answered over 900 calls. We have answered more than 5,000 calls to get information and support, close to 3,000 hours of counseling. We had 37 women that stayed at the shelter, along with 28 kids or teens. But when I've mentioned earlier that outreach services is a really, really big part of what we're doing, we had close to 500 women used outreach services last year only. So this is really a big part of what we're doing. I have a map here, the 5 counties. The darker the color is, the more users we have from these area. So we have 3 hotspots, which are Cornwall and Akwesasne, Rockland, and Hawkesbury. But if we take a closer look to South Dundas, well, you can see where the users were coming from. We have 6 from Iroquois, 2 from Princeton, 2 from Williamsburg, and 2 from Marisburg, for a total of 12 women that have used our services last year only in South Dundas. A few disturbing facts. Well, in Canada, 1 in 3 women over 16 years old say that they have been victim of violence, whether it's sexual or physical. And also every 6 days in Canada, a woman is killed by her spouse or ex-spouse. We're not the only shelter that serves, of course, the 5 counties. So I just wanted to explain briefly how, users are directed to the right shelter. So yes, there's us, Maison Interlude, for users from Prescott Russell, both French and English, and also all Francophone women of SDG. There's also Baldwin's House for Anglophone users of Cornwall, Stormont, and surroundings. Naomi Center, that I guess maybe you have heard about, for Anglophone users of Dundas and surroundings. And for the Glengarry users, they're split between us, Interlude's House, and Baldwin's House. But for all the other women that do not need shelter, we are the ones responsible helping them. So that's why we have close to 500 women through the 5 counties. In the presentation, you will find some other resources. Lots of them are in French because they might not be that easy to get. But if you go on our website at minterlidh.ca, under resources, you'll find all the links you will need. So that's it for me. And now I guess I'll need to find how to stop sharing my presentation. I'll try to find it. I'm really sorry. I don't know how. Don't know if I just close it, that might work. Accepted. I guess Ethan's going to help me. I find it. Sorry, it took me so long.
Okay, no problem, Marie-Pierre. And thank you for your presentation so far. I'll go around council table for any comments, questions, concerns. Deputy Mayor Gardner, please.
Thanks, and thank you, Mary Pierre. I'm so thankful that there are organizations like yours that do this. I wish that there wasn't a necessity for organizations like yours to do this. And, when we look at the numbers in South Dundas, 12 women needed your organization, and I'm so grateful you were there. I've got a long history of working with victims of violence, and I could go on, but I just you know, it's a call to action. You know, it's funny too. There was one piece of your presentation that I knew about, but I just want to highlight. Later on, we will be discussing schools and schools being online. And I will say that in your presentation, when you mentioned that you meet the kids at school because it's a safe place for counseling and stuff, that's just a highlight for our further discussion as to why our kids need to be physically in school, because it is a safe spot for those kids, and they do get access to services like yours, and it's oh so important. The cycle of violence is a real thing. Domestic violence is a real thing. And I just want to say thank you, and you know, for what you do, for what your volunteers do. It is a very draining, passionate call, but it's a lot. And thank you so much. And I'm thrilled that you're there, and I'm thrilled that you're providing Francophone services. I think I know that when I started out doing victim services, there wasn't always a ton of Francophone services. And with domestic violence, as some may know, lots of times they're moved to communities that are not familiar to themselves. And a lot of times it could be a situation where somebody's being moved to an Anglophone community when they're a Francophone to isolate. So thank you so much. And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Council Lewis.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your presentation. With organizations like yours and your volunteers, you do a fantastic job. I don't know what women would do if they didn't have people like you and your group to turn to. I take my hat off to you. I congratulate you and your group for such fine work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council Melton.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the presentation. It was a little bit of an eye opener for me. The extent of the services you provide, and unfortunately, you're needed out there, which is sort of a sad commentary. But thank goodness you're there for the people and for the women out there. Just a quick question, like you had mentioned, your household items, clothing, and appliances that are available, I guess, free to women that from abuse situations. Where do you source this like from? Because I'll be honest with you, and I'm a little ashamed that I didn't know more about your organization. And you know, I think there's probably people out there that would probably donate, you know, used appliances, good used appliances, clothes, or, you know, furniture items or stuff like that, and say, I didn't know about it. I don't know how we can maybe better educate and the public, or where do you get your goods for these things?
It's really just generously gave by the community. We're really fortunate, and we also have a few partnerships with, let's say, Giant Tiger. When they ended the season, they will give us some free clothes for the kids and for women. But most of them, they're really just coming from the community. They can just give us a call or write to us on our Facebook page. But really, we have a full boutique. People are really, really generous, and we thank them for that. We have an issue for storing, basically for furniture and appliances. We're kind of out of room right now. We had another generous donation that was a container, so we can have a few items there. But if ever in South Dundas, you know, you've heard of a free space where we can put some appliances or furniture, that would be greatly appreciated if ever you hear something.
Thank you. Yes, and I think that's something Mayor Byveld, maybe, I don't know, maybe staff can look into. I don't know if that's something we could put on our website to give her, you know, the information for people to, you know, to donate or make the phone call or the contact information for people that maybe would like to donate that. We do have the House of Lazarus. But I think, if people realize the good that you're doing and the need out there, it's another source possibly, maybe, if somewhere along the line in our website, we could maybe include a contact information, I think would be great and helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, and I will echo all council comments. We thank you and your, first of all, for the presentation this evening, as it's all, I wouldn't say eye-opening. We know that there are concerns and issues out there specifically for women that have been abused and are in violent situations. And we do thank you again for you and your group for being there for them. I think we all are very familiar with Naomi House and have probably given in the past, but we certainly now know of more options than STGPR. And as I said, we thank you for your presentation and thank you for your services to your community.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for giving us the chance to talk to you and give you more information about what we're doing.
Well, you're mighty welcome. Thank you very much for presentation.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. So our second delegation tonight is from Darlene Burns, and she has a presentation concerning Canada's National Horse, the Canadian, at Upper Canada Village. So Darlene, welcome to South Dundas Council this evening.
Are we on?
We can see you now. Yes, we can.
Okay,
yes, we can.
perfect. Okay, perfect. Good evening, Mayor Byveld and members of council, and thank you for allowing us to attend tonight's meeting. My name is Darlene Burns, and this is Don Cook.
Hello.
And we're here to present an exciting opportunity for the municipality of South Dundas to erect a unique life-size bronze statue of Canada's national horse, the Canadian. And it's a horse that truly is Canada's best kept secret. In front of you, you should have a presentation that it's a handout actually of what we're going to cover. So rather than do slides by virtual method, you should have a handout of the material. So, but certainly you can ask any questions at the end or whenever. So just wanted to say that Canadian horse was introduced into Canada in 1665 when the King of France sent the finest horses from his own stables here. And through breeding, they termed the little iron horse was created and became renowned for its great strength, resilience, intelligence, and good temper. And these qualities were invaluable to Canadian settlers in their efforts to survive and prosper in their new homes. There's a lot more history on the Canadian, including their near extinction and their comeback, which is outlined on slide 3 of your handout. And we've also included in the handout a link to a short video called Le Cheval Canadien. That's on slide 19, and it provides a great overview of this horse. So if you have a minute, it'd be great to have a look at that. So to honor its unique place in Canadian history, in 2002, the National Horse of Canada Act was declared, and it declared the Canadian as the National Horse of Canada. And the Canadian horse was additionally recognized for its role in Canadian history by a Canada Post stamp in 2009 and a Royal Canadian Minted coin in 2015. And you can see those in your handout as well, copies of what they look like. And Quebec province also declared the Canadian as a heritage breed of the province in 2010. So we're talking about a very significant and important animal in Canadian history, really that helped build our country. But what does that have to do with the municipality of South Dundas, you might ask? And the answer is at Upper Canada Village. Since the 1970s, Upper Canada Village has bred registered Canadians and worked these horses on the farm on a daily basis. And the horses' work has also paid for themselves. So currently, Over 20 registered Canadian horses continue to perform tasks that were done in the 18 and 19 early hundreds, and are a major tourism attraction, highlight at the village and subsequent attraction to the municipality of South Dundas. So Don Cook here has over 10,000 hours of hands-on work experience with these Canadian horses at Upper Canada Village. Truly an amazing amount of hands-on work. And I'm just going to let Don provide a little overview on his experience with the horses.
Thank you. I did work with the horses at Upper Canada Village for around 15 years, and I was always impressed with the hardiness and the eagerness of this horse to do the jobs. And as you well know, they pull the boats, they pull thousands of visitors around on the wagons, they do the field work, they plow the fields, they cut the hay. So they do everything that would reflect the life of 1866 in our area and in our country. And this also reflects the life of what your forefathers and foremothers would have been doing in the 1800s. So if I was to tell you or to tell them, your grandfather or your great-grandfather or maybe even your father about the importance of the horse, they would want to come right back and tell me the importance of these horses. They built the roads, they made the ditches, they cleared the fields in this area. And Upper Canada Village reflects that. And in 2019, they even had a horse race at a Horse Lovers Weekend where they wanted to know who had the fastest horse in South Dundas County. And of course, it was a huge event. There was over 4,000 people there that day, and just was a very, very popular event. So these horses played a major role in Canada's growth, but they played a major role in your area and the heritage of your district. That's why we have to involve you. That's why we can't go anywhere without talking to you. If this statue was placed at the entrance of Upper Canada Village, thousands of people would see it every year. It would educate the young and the old, and it would just be a great exposure for your community, and it would add to Upper Canada Village. And anything you can do to help us would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Don. So the municipality of South Dundas literally has Canada's national horse working in your own backyard on a daily basis. So it's appropriate that as Don said, it's appropriate that any proposed monument be erected within the municipality of South Dundas. And we believe that Upper Canada Village is the perfect fit for that location of a monument. But what benefits are there to your municipality? And we've listed a few here. Certainly global recognition, it will be the only life-size monument of the Canadian horse in Canada. The enhanced visibility at entry. Now, we have a proposed signage in Appendix H in your handout, and you could brag basically about honoring the Canadian horse in your municipality. Give it a little bragging rights, if you will. And the sign, if we partner with Upper Canada Village, that sign could also include the Upper Canada Village and St. Lawrence Parks Commission logos. So there's, those are just some thoughts we have. It offers a unique Canadian history offering, and it's consistent with the Upper Canada theme and also with your municipality theme, very rich in Canadian history. And enhanced tourism attraction. I mean, if it's at Upper Canada Village, we believe anyway that everyone will want a photo of that statue. You'll have kids sitting on the base saying, "Mommy, Daddy, let's take a picture with this big horse," the actual horse. And community pride, because it's the only one, going to be the only one in Canada. And that again is something, it's in your own backyard. It's really something to be proud about. And I think your municipality and your residents would also be proud to say that. But as you can appreciate, there's a significance and magnitude of this project. It's huge, but we've done a lot of work already. Just want to tell you what we've done. A monument has been designed, and the maquette, or model, if you will, has been created. And that has been done by Dave Sheridan. He's a well-known Brockville artisan sculptor. And you can see his details, his work the profile of him on Appendix B and C in your handout. And then we have a dedicated and capable volunteer team. Don Cook is here, myself, Darlene Burns. We have Dr. Kelly Ferguson, who was in the initial involvement in terms of getting the Canada Horse Act initiated and passed. And then we also have Susan Leclerc. You might know her. She has 30 years of tourism with St. Lawrence Parks Commission. So we have some great people on board thus far for volunteers. And we also have preliminary budget estimates in Appendix D. You can see the breakdown there. And the potential location has been identified. Now, we met with the St. Lawrence Parks Commission a year ago, February in 2020, just before COVID hit. So they were really excited, Holly Q and her Upper Canada Village management team, and very excited about this whole project. They had suggested that we go to the municipality of South Dundas, and then COVID put everything on hold. So that's really why we're here now versus back in 2020. I think that one of the things we want to do is talk to your municipality, as well as the St. Lawrence Parks Commission Board of Commissioners, and we will be meeting with them virtually on June 24th as well, just to let you know. So we will have another meeting with the Board of Commissioners there. So we do have some components here that we have yet to achieve. And one is to procure a planning or a hub organization to manage the finances, issue tax receipts to donors, and provide a method for donations, maybe like, you know, such as website, so they can pay online sort of thing. We have to fund the estimated $286,000. That includes a 10% contingency, a very large amount, but not undoable. Right now in the wings, we have a major sponsor willing to donate $100,000 to the project. We also have verbal commitments of $10,000. So, but I think we need some major sponsors coming up, and we do have one 100% guaranteed. If this project gets off the ground, they are in, and we're going to keep them anonymous until such time as we're ready to launch the project. But nothing, important to know that nothing would start until all the funds are in the bank. So, you know, we wouldn't get into cost overloads or things like that until we had all the money in the bank. So tonight, to duly honor the Canadian horse for its important role in Canadian history and to showcase your municipality in South Dundas in honoring the Canadian horse, we're asking you as council to consider agreeing to be the planning organization, managing the finances and tax receipts to donors, partnering with us, the volunteer team, and the St. Lawrence Parks Commission. And we'd also appreciate your consideration in helping with the funds. So I would like to say this request, it's not a novel project. I was on the volunteer team with Township of Elizabethtown Kitley recently that rebuilt the 5 Mile Light, 162-year-old structure that was burnt down by lightning, and we became partners with the township, and we got it done in 2 years to over $200,000 cost, and very successful. The lighthouse stands today, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm speaking from experience about the partnership with the township. And we'd also like to note that we don't believe that this project should be compared to the request for the Chrysler Park locomotive and cars restoration project. We believe that it might have been a 1.1 million restoration estimate, but this proposal is a standalone, one-of-a-kind historical masterpiece. And, you know, great community and national project. It's going to be forever remembered by Canadians and tourists from around the globe. And that statue will long outlive probably us at the end of the day. So we hope that you consider this exciting opportunity for your municipality. And we really thank you for your time. So we just open it for questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Darlene and Don. So I'll turn it over to Council Deputy Mayor Gardner. Comments, questions, concerns, please.
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. Loved your presentation. I too know a little bit about restoration, and actually I'm part of the Friends of the Grand Trunk, so it was interesting that you brought that up. With this, I'm just curious though. So I've gone on a tour of the barns, and those are magnificent animals. I have a couple questions. For the Canadian horse, how many private owners, like how many people in Ontario would own this breed of horse?
There are just under 1,000
Okay.
owners that are registered with the Canadian Livestock Record Association.
Okay. Okay. So they do
That's
have
all
an,
of, that's all of Canada.
okay, so they do have an association though, right? Like, I'm just wondering if you've had any conversations with them regarding participation in the project?
There are two main Canadian associations. One is the Canadian Horse Breeders Association of Canada, and that is Canadian wide. And then there's also the Cheval Canadian group, which sort of branched off of them. That's the Ontario group. And we have been in contact with both of those organizations. As a matter of fact, we asked them to be the planning organization. Problem with that is they cannot issue tax receipts. They are not a registered charitable organization. And we believe that, well, I know, as a matter of fact, in my involvement with the 5 Mile Light Project, donors would like a tax receipt, especially if they're donating, like substantial amounts of money. And so $20 and above is sort of normal to get a tax receipt. So that's why, and we have spoken to them, the Canadian Breeders Association, they're definitely in for an amount, a donation amount. And the Ontario one, both of them will, once this project gets launched, they will send a message out to all of their members asking for donations. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're very positive.
It doesn't, and thank you. It doesn't sound like the financial stuff is part. I mean, we've had a lot of presentations to council about this. Lots of our groups have had to go and do the incorporated route to become an incorporated official group that issues their own tax receipts. So that is quite commonplace in the groups that we've dealt with. But just a couple more questions, if I may, Mayor. I'm just wondering, similar to, have you approached the federal government about a plaque? Because they used to do historical plaques. We had one installed for the Macintosh Apple, which it sounds is somewhat comparative. I'm just wondering if on your journey to get that, and the sculpture is gorgeous, by the way, like it's an absolute gorgeous piece, but on your way to get there, have you thought about getting being part of the federal plaque program through Parks Canada?
Yes, yes. And we also have links to the different government bodies where we hope to apply for some funding for this. But we can't do anything until we have an organization to apply with.
Yeah. That's the tricky part. We just went through it with the Friends of GTA, and we had, or GTR, and we had to go through all the policies and that fun stuff. So yes, I understand how hard it is. The other thing is what St. Lawrence Parks Commission, what's their thought as far as contributing? Like, it sounds like they're contributing a spot potentially, but is there any other thought? Because while it does highlight the importance of the horse and the origin of the horse in South Dundas, we've had this conversation regarding tourism quite a bit. And when folks specifically go to Upper Canada Village, the South Dundas has had to work extremely hard to get them out of Upper Canada Village to visit the rest of South Dundas. So I'm just wondering, right now, this looks like it would benefit the St. Lawrence Parks Commission the most. And I mean, their Horse Lovers Weekend is fabulous and all that fun stuff. I'm just wondering what is their, I mean, I'm not asking you to speak for them, but I'm just, maybe I'll just leave it as more as
It
a
would be
comment,
awesome.
which would be fair, more fair, is just I would expect that the contribution would be equal or whatever, because they have the most to benefit from this, I believe.
Yes, they do. And we're meeting with them on the 24th. That was the earliest we could meet with them. Otherwise, we would have, tried to get, close to this meeting here. Now, we did meet in 2020 with just Holly Q and her
Yep.
management team at Upper Canada. And
Yep.
then we presented a letter to the Board of Commissioners because we realize it's a bigger organization like the Parks Commission. And
Yep.
so they agreed to at least hear us out. They have a 5-year strategic plan that probably does not include a statue at this stage. And we want to be able to present pretty much exactly what we're doing here so that they would agree to partner with the municipality in some form. We're not exactly sure how that might happen, but we are also going to ask them if they would contribute to the funds and also help out. They definitely were very enthusiastic and said verbally, yes, we can put this statue right outside the Discovery Center. It's going to be the entranceway. It's going to be awesome. Now, they did say that probably could happen. And it brings the question, I mean, if the municipality is like, if the municipality perhaps is the major funder, maybe the statue should be outside the municipality, whether
Yeah.
that's a possibility.
It's tricky, and I'll just end with this. We just because you put it in your presentation, the group with the train has actually only ever asked for support in the form of a letter to get the train, have the opportunity to fix up the train. They have no intention of asking for any financial contribution.
Okay.
It will be all railroad enthusiasts, if you will, and I mean, if you look at passions, you've got the train people, and then you also have the horse people. There's a lot of people that absolutely love equine sports and that type of thing. So I wish you all the best. I think it's a fabulous presentation. I think, in my opinion, I think the St. Lawrence Parks Commission is the one that would have to be the pusher for this, as they have the most to benefit. And I definitely will make a contribution, but for me, I just, with the municipality's status of having so many infrastructure projects, in my mind, it would be a very, very large project for us to take on. But thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.
Council Lewis, please.
Good presentation. For many years as a young fellow, I spent a lot of time, summer months at Upper Canada Village with my father. He was on the other side of the fence. He was the oxen driver. I've seen the horses at Upper Canada Village, as you say, they pulled the bateau, they plowed up the fields, they run the grain, whatever it's called, that goes around and around. So when you talk about this project, it's a thing that I really takes my heart back to those years whenever my dad was still here. But as I said, it was a fantastic presentation, and I imagine that as a group we will have a very heavy discussion on this. But I'd like to thank you very much for your discussion and what you said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Mellon.
Thank you, Mayor Byvelds, and thank you for the presentation. Yeah, I know a couple people have some Canadian horses back in the country, and
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Council
Oh.
Mellon, your connection's a little tight, and talk to the whatever microphone you
sorry.
have, please.
Yes, I said, thank you for the presentation, and I do know a few people that have Canadian horses. I appreciate the fact that they were, so instrumental in, the early years of Canada. But I do have to agree with Deputy Mayor Gardner. I think this has to be the driver has to be on this is the Park Commission and Upper Canada Village. I think we'd have to go back to staff and have staff come back and look at, because they'd be the ones doing the planning organization, assistance with the donor administration and, and assistance in the volunteer and funding initiative. So we'd have to look at that through a staff's perspective. And, as far as funding goes right now, I think your main focus should be on Parks Canada and Upper Canada Village. They have the most to gain, and any partnership between us and them on this project, I think would want to be very clearly spelled out. I'm just not 100% sure where that would be or how that would go or what that would look like. But it's a very good presentation. It'd be nice to get this done. Upper Canada Village are definitely going to be the ones I think you're going to have to really lobby for and get them on board with this and get them in place for your major funding and the breeders of the Canadian horses throughout Ontario and Canada. But thank you for the presentation. It's very nice.
Thank you.
And I as well will thank you for your presentation. As I'm sure the Canadian horse has a lot of history. My family is not from Canada, so they lived in Holland. Whatever European horse breed they had to work with was there. But I know that my visits to Upper Canada Village is they have been in the past. Certainly, they were there at the forefront. It seems that what I'll do tonight is we'll add it for a discussion item to see if council wants to continue on with this project. If they do, then we'll turn it over to staff to see if and how we could work with your group. So one way or the other, we will give you an answer this week on which way we're going, and then we'll go from there. So once again, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for your time. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah, okay, bye.
So we're going to move on to page 74 of our council package. We have action requests this evening for ES 2021-12 airqual boat launch repair project.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, Moved by
Go ahead.
Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that council accept report ES 2021-12 to approve repairs to the Iroquois boat launch by Kehoe Marine for a submitted price of $11,200 plus HST.
Austin, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The report you have in front of you this evening is regarding the Iroquois boat launch. In 2020, the 5 concrete slabs used to construct the current boat launch had shifted out of place, leaving a large gap between the 4th and 5th slab, as well as a significant drop off of the last slab. The gap between the 2 last slabs, as well as the drop off, propose a risk for boaters while they're launching and loading their boats. Staff contacted 4 marine construction companies, receiving responses from 3 and official quotes from 2. As the boat launch repairs were approved in the 2021 budget, staff recommend that council approve Kehoe Marine Construction to complete the repairs for the quoted $11,200 plus HST. And in addition, staff would like council to note that staff are currently working with South Nation Conservation to obtain all required permits to complete these repairs. And if council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Any comments, questions, concerns? Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Thanks, Austin. Nice fulsome report. Glad to see this presented. As you know, I've had a couple of folks contact me with health and safety concerns. So, and I'm not laughing at their health and safety, just so glad this showed up so quickly. So my only question is, if approved tonight, how fast would the work be done? Does it matter? Is it in the hands of South Nation?
Yeah, it'll depend on how quickly we can get those permits obtained.
Okay. And what's your plan before we get it fixed? So some people have raised the flag and said that it's quite dangerous. Is there is there anything to kind of warn folks until we get it fixed?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we are currently working on getting signage to put up. With the water levels, the water was obviously really low earlier this year, but it has come up a little bit. So it doesn't seem to be proposing as much of a risk. I haven't received any complaints as of yet this year, but staff are currently working on getting signage up at that
Okay.
location.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Lewis?
That's good report, Austin. Even I had trouble with that ramp whenever I was there. It's always seemed to be an issue, and every time we tried to do something to fix it, it always backfired. Keyholt, they are a fantastic company to work with. They definitely know their business. I can say that for them because they have done a couple projects for me. And I understand, and I know where you're coming from whenever you say we have to wait for South Nation, especially if it's spawning season for the fish and the turtles and so on and so forth. But I really like the report. Good job and continue on.
Councilor Mellon?
Thank you, Mayor Byvells. Good report, Austin. Let's hope South Nation, they, I think, try to pride themselves in their turnaround time, in what's acceptable and what, so let's hope they can get this done. If they seem like they're dragging their feet a little bit, let me know. I can always, get a prod out somewhere. Don't know if it'll do me any good, but, the only question, Austin, is I agree with what you're proposing. Slabs up, you know, tighten them up, the gap, get rid of the gap. At the end of the final slab, when it is pulled up tight, when the water level was low, there's still boats that maybe back off that. Are we going to be able to put stone in there so that there isn't a drop off that fifth or the last slab, even when the water level? Like, I think there needs to be some stone. There's nothing mentioned in Kehoe's work description, but I think there needs to be some stone put in that water at the end of the final slab to make sure that there's not a drop off that fifth and final slab when the water level is somebody trying to back a big boat in or whatever. Is there any mention in that, or have you taken that into consideration?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, staff have taken that into consideration. I know last year we put bags of stone in the gap to fill the gap and allow the trailer tires to move over the gap that's currently in the slab, as well as at the end of the ramp for the drop off to make it a little less significant for boaters.
Yeah, I just wonder now when we got Kehoe in there, you know, if we bring in some bigger stone, whatever would be required. I'm not a marine engineer, but whatever would be required to, after the slabs are all cinched up nice and tight and held together with chains or whatever we're going to use there, steel brackets, that we would put some stone in there so that there is no gap, and because that could get washed out with the current and whatnot if we have too small of stuff. But you know, maybe some, I'm not sure. But I think maybe this is something maybe we should look at. It's under budget there now, and I think it would be, beneficial for us and for everybody using that boat ramp to make sure that that's addressed now when we're fixing it. Then, you know, come late fall and the water level's low and people back off that back slab even after we fixed it. That'd be my only recommendation, Mayor Byvells.
Okay, so question to you, Austin, on the boat launch. If the water level gets exceedingly low, like it does usually September, are there any issues at the Morseburg site for boaters?
Yes, so we have received a couple inquiries from residents as far as the water levels, and with the construction of that dock around the L shape from the boat launch, there is a concern with the water levels being low and there not being much room for boaters to back up and properly launch their boats.
Okay, well, I know that the water levels are challenging. They are out of our control. I think, you know, there are concerns raised, and if you can fix it to the best of your ability, then do so. It's always a challenge. This boat launch has been an issue since I've been on council. So if you can fix it up to the best of your ability within the budget there that has provided, then I think we're doing our best as a municipality to provide that service. During most months, September is always going to be an issue because of the insistence of lowering Lake Ontario at that time. So, and even saying that, noticing that the levels this year are tending to be on the lower side all year round. And I know that they're having a webinar this week concerning that. So do your best to do what you can, talk to Kehoe, and if there's any issues with the end that he can fix within budget, then please at least entertain that possibility. I think council would like to see that happen. Anything further from any members of council on this? Councillor Lewis?
Since the mayor brought it up with the Morseburg dock, Austin, have you got any complaints on the River Rock on the east side of the dock that's going from north to south? I've seemed to have got about a handful of that. That it's very dangerous. You can't walk up it. You have trouble putting your boat in. Have you heard anything on that?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I haven't heard anything personally, but staff can definitely go down and take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, since Councillor Lewis brought it up, that has been brought up to my attention in the past few years. So if you want to have a discussion with that someday, I have some ideas, and Councillor Lewis can be involved with that too. So it is another subject, so we'll just concentrate on the current motion as presented. Anything further on that? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor of the motion? Any motion is carried. Sorry, flabbergasted a bit. Thank you. We'll move on to the next one, ES 2021-13, Iroquois Matilda Lions Community Garden location.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Mellon. By council, approve report ES 2021-13 to permit the Iroquois Matilda Lions Community Garden project to be located on the Helen Street easement across from the Iroquois Post Office.
Austin?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This report is regarding the Iroquois Community Garden, which was previously proposed by the Iroquois Matilda Lions Club back in March. Staff are proposing that the easement between James Street, Elizabeth Drive, and Helen Street in Iroquois be used for the community garden, as it is a central location which provides easy access for residents of all ages and abilities, as well as Seaway District High School and any required equipment to complete the installation and maintenance of the community garden. The budget implications for the Iroquois Community Garden would consist of the removal of sod and installation of topsoil, which can be completed by municipal staff. And if council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Okay, move on. Deputy Mayor Gardner, please.
Thanks, Mayor Byveld. Just a quick question. Huge supporter of community gardens. I think that's actually a good spot for it. I don't see any issues with that. I'm just wondering, did the Lions ask for anything above and beyond a location?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the Lions Club did not ask for anything above and beyond a location. They requested that the municipality cover the cost of topsoil, but other than that,
Okay,
was
so
it.
they did request. So they did request for the topsoil. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That was my only question and comment.
Councillor Lewis?
No, I don't have an issue with this whatsoever. Thank you.
Councillor Mellon?
I don't have an issue with it, but obviously if we're going to be stripping that topsoil, the area and to bring in the topsoil, rough figure, will that be covered under Public Works funding? Where will that funding come from to cover that cost? Because we're always, billing back to whatever committee or whatever department it will be looked after. Public Works will be stripping the topsoil, the ground, and bringing in the topsoil. Topsoil is not cheap, and I'm not exactly sure how much we're going to be needing there. But it could be, I don't know. I go ahead with it. I'm just where the cost implications, where that'll fall, and maybe it's a moot point, but just so we know now.
Austin, where's the budget for the 5,000 coming from?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the Parks and Recreation Department did have funds budgeted in the 2021 budget for gardens and landscaping.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Mellon?
Yeah, was it specifically earmarked for that project or just in general, you know, general topsoil usage or whatever you want to call it? But let's put it there. I'm good with it. Let's go with it.
Okay, well, first of all, I do believe it's a worthy project. All council, it's CEO Garrity, you have a comment since you're there?
Yeah, just a comment is what we'll end up probably doing is putting it towards Austin's budget for now, and then if there's some savings at the end of the year, we can reallocate some money. The material budget for topsoil can come out of Jeff's budget as well too. So we'll ensure that we've got the money covered within the budget if we have to reallocate a little bit of money.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Austin. That's all here.
Okay, so once again, as I said, a very worthwhile project. You know, it's always a challenge, like South Dundas's finances due to infrastructure issues are tight. So that's good that we're doing the work ourselves, but as I've always say, things don't happen for nothing. Everything costs money. So to remove sod, is that just going to be going back to the public works yard or the landfill, or what's the plan there? Because that the farmer and me would have turned it over and used whatever for, you know, you're taking something away and putting something back. So what's the plan on that?
So we currently have different locations within the municipality that we are using fill, one being behind the wastewater plant in Morrisburg. So that is an area that we can dispose of the sod.
Okay, well, go on. I think, yes, Councilor Mellon?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Byvelds. Maybe Austin, yourself, and maybe working with the Lions, maybe reach out to some of the contractors in the area, see if there would be any flavor or any appetite for maybe some kind of donation for some of the topsoil towards this project. It's a good project for the community. Maybe, you know, I don't know, you might be able to find local contractor or two that might donate a load or two of topsoil. Might be worthwhile, you know, to save on our budget and help the Lions get along with their project. That's all.
Excellent suggestion, Councilor Mellon. So we know it's not hoping it doesn't exceed $5,000, which is amount we can certainly handle within our scope. But let's drive on. Hopefully we can get some donations, and then we'll see how it goes. But certainly, as I said, worthwhile project to go on. Anything further from any member of council? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next action request is FES 2021-03 leather firefighting boots.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that council accept report FES 2021-03 to approve the purchase of leather firefighting boots from M&L Supply for the cost of $13,860 plus HST.
Chief, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As we discussed at the last meeting on May 25th, in regards to the purchase of firefighting boots, this report brings back the cost. We had asked for a report to council that would figured it would cost around $15,000 to purchase the leather boots. The total cost has come in at $14,103.95, including HST, which is under the number we gave. We did reach out to 5 different companies. We heard back from 3, which you'll see in Appendix A and all the costing there. If you have any questions or comments, I will take them at this time. Thank you.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns from any members of council? We had this discussion last time. Councilor Mellon?
Yes, these boots are made for walking. Let's get them going.
Okay, well, I do agree. And actually the price for these specialty boots at close to $500 a piece is still fairly reasonable if one goes out and buys full cost work boots that are of any type of quality. So Certainly, I think worthy of our firefighters to have. Anything, if there's nothing further, I'll hear the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
before we go on to bylaws, I'm gonna recess council for 5 minutes at 7:15 on my clock, so we'll be back at 7:20, please. You will leave the live feed going. Just mute and you stop your video, please. Thank you. it looks like we're all back. Thank you very much. So if everyone's back, we'll start moving on to bylaws. First bylaw 2021-61, the water capital levy.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2021-61 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2007-57 to establish a capital levy charge for the benefit of current and future users of the South Dundas water treatment plant be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Sarah, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this bylaw and the following two bylaws are the final steps in passing the water and wastewater budgets for Morrisburg and Iroquois. So this bylaw in particular is to increase the water capital levy by 23 cents. This is to support the debenture payment for the Morrisburg and Iroquois water tower rehabilitation. This rate is set to come into effect July 1st, 2021. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, so this is part of our water wastewater budget discussion. Are there any comments, questions, concerns from any member of council on this bylaw? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Next one is 2021-62 water flat rates.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2021-62 being a bylaw to amend Schedule B to bylaw number 2017-58 to enact rules and regulations to inspect, install, repair, replace, or alter water meters and related apparatuses, including penalties for offenses, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Sarah?
Thank you again. So this bylaw is to bring into effect the $7.50 increase to the water flat rate, and this rate as well will come into effect on July 1st.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns on this? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Next bylaw 2021-63 amend budget bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2021-63 being a bylaw to rescind bylaw number 2021-28 and to set the 2021 operating and capital budgets for municipal purposes only be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Sarah?
Thank you again. This bylaw is to finalize the 2021 budgets, and it includes the water and wastewater operating and capital budgets as discussed at the special meetings. I'll also note that I've included in fire and emergency services in the operating budget the revenue that we received for COVID-19. So this includes the funding left over from 2020 and also the additional funding that we've received in 2021. So it amounts to just over $350,000. So this amount is included in the revenue line and then also in the expenditures line for fire and emergency services. So there's no effect to the levy. It's just included for budgeting purposes. I can answer any questions at this time.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns from any member of council on this? Council Mellon?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, and Mayor Byvelds. Sarah, maybe could we have not tonight, but a breakdown on what funding we got? I guess and make it separate from fire and emergency services so we know what we have in that budget amount left. I think we've already talked about it. I can't pull it off the top of my head, but just to share that with us at the next meeting or sometime. So that doesn't get lost in the shuffle of figures, if you will. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, anything further? I will just make this comment that as much as this encompasses all our operating budget, including water and wastewater, it has been a challenging year so far in South Dundas, and I do appreciate the residents and all that they have to share with us as a burden with dealing with some of the challenges and infrastructure and everything else that's going on here. So I do appreciate your support. I know taking money out of your pocket is never an easy thing, but as demonstrated in our last meeting with what's happening with our infrastructure underground, along with everything else that we'd like to do in South Dundas to A, keep things up, and B, make things better, certainly all cost money, and we will do our best as a council to look after your needs and ensure that your dollars are spent as well as possible. If there's nothing further, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Next one, 2021-64, the OILC debenture bylaw, Dutch Meadows Pumping Station.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Mayor Gardner. The bylaw number 2021-64, being a bylaw of the Corporation of the Municipality of South Dundas, to authorize the borrowing upon amortizing debentures in the principal amount of $597,107 towards the cost of the Dutch Meadows Pumping Station, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Sarah again?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is the final requirement of Infrastructure Ontario for the Dutch Meadows Pumping Station. So the interest rate for this loan is locked in at 2.71%, which is very close to what was used in the loan projection schedules, which was 2.7%. So the payback numbers have changed very minimally. And this debenture is set to close on July 2nd. I can answer any questions at this time.
Okay, so are any comments, questions, concerns on this bylaw and the loan that it implies? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Thank you, Sarah. Next one, bylaw is 2021-65, the zoning bylaw amendment for West Park Lot 26, Contestant 7, 12574 Barclay Road.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Mellon, the bylaw number 2021-65, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2010-48, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Nicole?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This bylaw is part of a consent application to sever off a surplus dwelling lot from a vacant farm parcel comprising of the bulk of the property. There is a reduction in minimum lot area and front yard depth. If there's any questions, I can answer them at this time.
Okay, and just for council's sake and the audience, we're on 127 page-wise. Any comments, questions, concerns on this zoning bylaw amendment from council? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Thank you. Next one, 2021-66. Zoning bylaw amendment, concession lot C, common part lot 1819 Matilda 4766 County Road 16.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2021-66, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2010-48, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Cole?
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor and Council. This bylaw is to address two consent applications, B7120 and B7220. Both are lot additions to existing farm parcels, one being on the west side of County Road 16 and the other being on the east side of County Road 16. Minimum lot area is reduced on both as well as the lot frontage from 200 meters to 80 meters on one, 200 meters to 140 meters on the other. And I can answer any questions at this time.
Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns from council on this zoning bylaw amendment? All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Next one is 2021-67 zoning bylaw amendment, concession 4, part lot 31, Matilda 8R5333, part 3, 4428 County Road 1.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, the bylaw number 2021-67, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2010-48, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Cole?
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor and Council. This bylaw is temporary use bylaw for residential hamlet along County Road 1. Essentially what it's doing is providing a garage with a dwelling unit above the garage, where the dwelling unit does not meet the minimum standards for a dwelling unit on the property. This property did have a fire where the single family dwelling was lost completely. The temporary use bylaw is for a period of 3 years. If you have any questions, I can answer them at this time.
Any comments, questions, concerns from every member of council on this bylaw? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Next one, 2021-68, part lot control, part lot 101, block 26, registered plan number 2968, St. Lawrence Street.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Lewis, the bylaw number 2021-68 being a bylaw to exempt lands legally described as part of lot 101, block 26 on registered plan number 29 in the former village of Morrisburg from part lot control be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Nicole?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This bylaw is to exempt the property from part lot control under the Planning Act. This allows two parcels to be conveyable separate lots and sold separately in separate ownership if they wish. If council knows the property is the old, I believe, Masonic Lodge on the corner of High Street and St. Lawrence. There is a recommendation from planning that a minor variance be granted, or a minor variance application be submitted as part of the part lot control, because of the rear yard setback is substantially less than what the zoning bylaw requires. I can answer any questions at this time.
Okay, so question on this property. So the owner intends to split this building in half
Correct.
and sell it as separate units?
We haven't been made aware if he wishes to sell or not, but he does wish to convey them as separate parcels.
Okay, now, has he addressed the issue of two services going into each side then?
Yep, they do have separate services for both units, and there is a substantial fire separation between the two as well.
Okay, questions I thought would be very pertinent considering that building's been in a reno for a number of years. Okay, any comments, questions, concerns, or any members of council on this? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Thank you, Nicole. Consent agenda, please.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that all items listed under general consent section of the agenda be adopted as presented, save and except for item 10D, be moved to discussion items.
Okay, so tonight on consent agenda, we have a letter concerning from the Ministry of Energy, Northern Development and Mines concerning phase 2 of natural gas expansion programs, which we failed to qualify for this time. Also a letter from Municipal Affairs and Housing concerning the roadmap to safely reopening Ontario. Petition from the United Counties, Township Archipelago, Town of Fort Erie, Town of Halton Hills. We also have a thank you letter from J.W. McIntosh Support Services concerning the funding we granted them concerning the driver that they require. We also have information concerning the rebuild of the 401 Nuttlebush Road over underpass. We also have committee minutes from the Iroquois waterfront. We have a key information report concerning the Morrisburg waterfront dockside parking lot with additional boulders. Key information report on tax sale results, and a reminder to council and the audience that the excess of funds after fees and taxes do go back to the property owners that are on file. Monthly activity reports from economic development, water, wastewater, parks and recreation, building bylaw and planning, fire emergency services, transportation, finance, and the CAO. All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Move on to boards, committees, and discussion items. Council reps, county council did have a special meeting last Monday. The second, I do have notes concerning it. The main focus, well, we'll start. There was a presentation by our MP, Eric Duncan, concerning the work he's been doing on our behalf. He plans on having a roadshow to South Dundas sometime soon. The street side patio fees from the counties are waived for 2021. There was an agreement with the Friends of the Summerstown Forest that they would be allowed to put a portable in the parking lot that the counties own, and the counties would take ownership of it so they can do their work. However, it will be no funding from the counties per se at this time. Culvert lining tender was awarded along with the Winchester CP rail overpass work, which came in significantly under budget. St. Andrews West reconstruction will be done by SDG personnel. And one of the big items at that meeting was the awarding of the Morseburg Streetscape project to Coco Paving. And as much as it's this council knows about it and has approved our working share, we still will be working with Coco to see if there's any possible savings or credits that we can accumulate either to South STG or South Dundas. There was also a proposed revised sign bylaw that was presented by the Director of Transportation. So it did tighten up the rules on digital signs. It is right now in the public comment phase, and my understanding is it has been shared with those who have had concerns with these type of signs in SDG. I will not be naming any of the signs per se, but I think most of the council and the audience do know some of the challenges we have, but it will apply to any digital sign in SDG. And my initial read of the bylaw is that it captures, it's much better at capturing some of the issues that have occurred in the past, and I look forward to it coming to County Council for a full debate and possible passing at our next council meeting. And that was that. There was also a special meeting of County Council on Friday, and I'll just make a statement. I do not want any comments, questions, concerns from it, but Frank Prabo has been removed as county councilor and warden of SDG. Reason being is that he is on leave from the council of South Glengarry, and in doing so has forfeited his right to be on county council, and we expect South Glengarry to spend another member in on their behalf to our next council meeting. So with that, are any questions, comments, concerned on the special meeting from July 7th or June 7th, sorry. Okay, that's my report on that. Councilor Wells not here. Iroquois District Business Group has no meeting. Morse BIA.
Trying to set up next week.
Okay, South Nation Conservation.
No, you're off the hook tonight. This Thursday, got a meeting.
Okay, anything that highlighted in the agenda that you think we should know about right now? Because I'm sure you've read it. Or they haven't got it to you yet.
Well, I've got it. I'll be honest with you. That's on my to-do list probably tomorrow. I haven't, to be honest with you, Mayor Bylaws, haven't read it yet.
Oh, fair enough. Too many meetings in your head at our age sometimes isn't a good thing. I know, I can attest to that. No disrespect, Councilor Mellon. Morrison Waterfront Committee?
Meeting this week.
From what I know, the Iroquois Waterfront Committee has a meeting this week also. South Branch Committee. Carmen House.
I spoke to Mr. Murray Richer today, and with COVID still here, him and I had a lengthy discussion on what we're going to do this year with the Carmen House, and he has decided that the Carmen House will not be open this year because we just don't know where the next phase is going with COVID-19. So he will not need a summer student either. And I couldn't really disagree with him. because I don't think anybody really knows where we're going in July. So I think it's best for the Carmen House and the community that it does not open this year, and we will relook at things next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No County Archives Committee meeting, Tourism Advisory.
Yes, so thanks, Mayor. We had a meeting on May 27th. Our main focus right now will be the tourism app launch that is happening June 23rd at Stonecrop Acres. Rob Hunter and myself are working with St. Lawrence College to set up what will be a partnership rollout as the students have the college students the gaming students that created the app for us, that the tourism committee came up. It's absolutely fabulous. As soon as it's available, I will walk anyone through it that wants to get kind of techie and have something fun to do with your grandkids, or as a family, or seniors can do it. It's going to be fabulous. So most of our focus right now is on that tourism app launch, and also some discussions around the pop-up shops, which should be coming at the end of June, early July.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns? Thank you. Economic Development.
Thanks, Mayor Boyvelt. We did have a meeting May 28th. More of a catch up and discussion, just updated them on some items. We had some conversations about how COVID has kind of impacted the businesses, how to get the messaging out to small businesses in the area about opportunities for the economic development officer to assist. We had some conversations about what possibly the community awards could look like this year and what the timing will be. Most felt that we are safer having a discussion around fall, if not later. So that's pretty much it. Just a general meeting to just kind of tie up some loose ends and start thinking about future items now that there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns from council? Okay, thank you. Doctor Advisory.
Yep, we had a meeting also May 28th, and we're waiting on some data back around nurse practitioner clinics, that type of thing, and we do have a meeting coming up. So it's a continual work in progress.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, thank you very much. Next item is key information report from our supervisor Parks and Rec concerning the Youth Advisory Committee update. So, Austin.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This report is just to provide an update on the Youth Advisory Committee, which was previously approved in March. Since March, the committee has held 2 meetings for introductions as well as discussions surrounding the committee's terms of reference, first project, and developing its own brand. The terms of reference is currently in the process of being finalized and will be discussed at our next meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, June 17th. The committee's first project includes improvements and expansion of the South Dundas Lending Library. And lastly, the development of the committee's brand. The committee is currently working on developing a logo and a social media platform. Staff would like council to note that the committee logo will include the current South Dundas logo and will also be brought back to council for approval. In addition, the committee had decided that Instagram would be the most suitable platform for youth in South Dundas. Staff have communicated with the communications coordinator to arrange a tutorial on social media best practices as well as proper procedures while representing the municipality to be held with the committee. And if council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Okay, comments, questions, concerns, Deputy Mayor Gardner.
I'll comment. I participate on that committee. Austin is doing a fabulous job with that committee, and it's interesting to do it online. But when the youth are asked to submit ideas and stuff, wow, absolutely incredible. Austin, what was submitted as far as logos and that type of thing. And we are also extremely fortunate to have Principal Trent Carter Edwards, who is fully committed and has even mentioned that he will he's committed to even holding meetings in the summer so we don't lose the momentum as the summer holidays take over. So it's a fabulous committee. The kids seem super engaged, and I think it's gonna result in what we wanted, which was them to have a voice. And I think it's quite interesting to talk about social media platforms and what they want and don't want. So it's yeah, it's a good committee.
Okay, Councilor Lewis,
No, I have no questions, no comments. Thank you.
Councilor Mellon,
Oh, I'm glad to see it's moving forward and get the young people involved. Let's face it, they're our future. So let's get them involved, and it seems to be heading that way. Thank you.
okay, and I'd like to thank Austin and Deputy Mayor Gardner on the work on this committee, along with those members that are present are nameless, but when we did the initial report, when was it? 2019, and we had the youth at council, and their engagement level was extremely high if we allowed them to be there. And I think if they know that we're listening and we're not just pretending and we're actually doing some things with or through them, then I think that's a great benefit to South Dundas, because we don't have our youth engaged and want to be part of South Dundas, and we don't make them part of South Dundas, then they will leave and they will find other places to live. So thank you once again, and keep council updated periodically. And if there's anything you need or any initiatives that need some council approval or hand, then please feel free to come to council and engage us, please. Okay, thank you very much. Next one is the key information report and the draft site plan agreement with Ross Video. Nicole?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor and Council. So this site plan control agreement in draft form is part of our new bylaw for development in South Dundas. So because it is industrial and commercial property, it's required to go through the site plan control agreement process. We have attached the draft agreement, and through the staff review of the site plan proposed, there were a few questions that came up that the engineers were wondering how council would like to proceed. So the first one would be fenced waste enclosure. If the municipality would require a fenced waste enclosure, or if the existing one is okay. It's located south of the existing office in the loading area. And the second being the entrances off of Dundas Street. So the proposed site plan shows 3 entrances off of Dundas Street, and one for the Legion east of that. Sorry, one for the Legion on the east, one for Ross on the west, and one in the middle to be used by both businesses. I can attempt to answer any questions at this time, but I may have to deflect back to the design team if I'm unable to.
Okay, so in your professional opinion on number 1, which is the fenced waste enclosure, do you see any issues with their request of leaving where it is?
No, we've never gotten any complaints bylaw-wise on the garbage enclosure that they currently have, so I don't foresee any issues.
Okay, and that's what they'd like to do, is leave it where it is?
That's correct.
Okay, and then, so we'll concentrate on that. Does council have any issue with that, Ross's request on the garbage enclosure? Okay, so we're good with that. The next one is the 3 entrances. Is it EVB, are they our advisor on this?
EVB is representing Sorry, no, EVB
Okay.
is ours. Yeah,
Yeah, because
and
Eastern's doing
Eastern
that.
is Ross's. Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
so it's basically, and they're questioning why having an extra entrance at this time, correct?
Yeah, that's right. The thing with that extra entrance is if Ross Video eliminates that, there's about 8 parking spaces that are lost if they do have to close it in. So
Okay, are they raised islands? The entrances?
no,
Are there raised islands in between the entrances, or are they just
I
marked?
believe so. I think they're just marked.
Okay.
Let me just double check on the site plan here.
They appear to be on the site plan.
Oh yeah, concrete curb island with grass.
Okay, so currently we have the Wild West entrance, which is there's nothing there. That whole stretch is basically wide open going into the Legion and to our former building, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and EVB is concerned. Okay, then my $1 million question is our Director of Transportation of any concerns?
I did speak with Jeff, Director of Transportation, and he doesn't have any concerns with the number of them because of these shifts that Ross has, and it's going to be only them that are using it, really. So he thinks that there won't be any major concerns with traffic flow.
Okay. So the only ones that questioned are EVB, but Eastern would like it the way it is, and
That's
you
right.
and our Director of Transportation don't really have any concerns. Okay, does council have any concerns over the extra entrance? Okay, I don't see any issues from, Councilor Mellon, do you have any
Yeah,
comments?
just to clarify. Eastern only wants 2 entrances, or they're.
No,
Yes.
Eastern wants 3.
Yeah.
Eastern
Okay.
is Ross's consultant, the
Yeah.
designer of the parking lot. EBB is our, I guess, consultant who are giving us recommendations on the plan, and they question whether there should be 3 there. And in technical detail, I know the counties are very fussy about extra entrances and some of the challenges they may or may not present, but if our Director of Transportation does not have an issue, then I would at least listen to that, but any,
Yeah, I don't have an issue with having the 3rd entrance. I think it probably, yeah. No, I'm good with 3 instead of.
okay, and so am I. I think there's some logic in here. I did have some concerns about drainage, but that has been addressed when I read the drainage plan, and it's using the parking lot as their drainage pool, and that there's some logic to it, and it all makes sense. So, anything further, Nicole?
Nope.
Okay, anything further from council on this site plan? Okay, then council's seems to be good with it, so you can bring that to council that's for under bylaw, correct, for next meeting?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, please do so we can get them up and going and start making some dirt move on that project. So I think that is a big project for the village of Iroquois and municipality of South Dundas, and to see Ross Video expand there is should tickle us to death on them choosing the Iroquois site to continue on.
Thank you.
Okay. So on D, I got the Councilor Mellon requested to pull the United Counties Stormont Dundas Glengarry's petition concerning schooling and remote learning. So Councilor Mellon?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor
Start with
Byvells,
you.
members of council. Yeah, the reason I pulled this, I believe, and I want to compliment or congratulate the counties for taking this initiative. I think this is a very important item. When I read that they're looking at making it permanent. And I think the more voices that are heard out there, personally myself, I think that there has to be a lot of discussion ahead of this before making this permanent. My real concern is, if there's more young people taking courses after the pandemic is over, you know, and it cuts back on the number of children in our schools, that's going to impact, you know, the number of schools that we're going to need, and the province can look at this and say, well, you know, our numbers are down, and there'll be a possibility of more pressure on school closures. I'm a firm believer, and I talked to my niece, who is a school teacher, lived here all her life. She's outside this area now, but she is a current teacher, and it's sort of like these virtual meetings. Yes, they serve the purpose, but I'm a firm believer that we have to get the kids back in the classrooms. And by just the thought of making this a permanent thing without a lot of consultation, a lot of discussion, I think is jumping the gun. I think it needs to be talked to the schools and the committees and the parents. You know, what impact that's going to have on the children, what impact it's going to have on our schools. Some young kids will be able to flourish under a virtual learning program, others will not. I'm afraid that it could lead to a two-tier system where there could be actual programs that would be offered under a virtual learning program, you know, remote learning program that may not be offered in the classrooms if there's pressure there, if there's, you know, funding to be, you know, saved, whatnot. And, you know, I'm just really thinking that the counties have done the right step here, and I would like our council to support this and to also send the resolution off in support of this, and to all the other partners in SD&G to support this and really, really look. I think the province really has to look at this hard, and I'm not in favor of making learning permanent, virtual learning permanent, just because of some of the issues I've raised. I think would be a step backwards. I think young children need to be in the school, and they need to be participating with the teacher and interacting with the teacher and interacting with their friends and whatnot. So I think there has to be a lot of discussion and a lot of soul searching before we, you know, last year or so, it's worked, but it hasn't worked as far as I'm concerned. And I think we need to, I think the province really needs to look at this in-depthly before they go to any type of conclusion and any jump on anything at all. I'm sure yourself and Deputy Mayor Gardner, maybe they've had the discussion, and Deputy Mayor Gardner, I know you're heavily involved in this, you know, in schools and whatnot, and I would, you know, welcome your comments, both your comments on that.
Okay, so before we go on, I'm going to ask Clerk Robert to read the motion in effect to support this petition, and then we can debate it further. Clerk?
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that council support the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry's letter to Minister Lecce regarding permanent remote learning and its impact on rural schools.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Thanks, Mayor Byveld. Yeah, Councillor Mellon, I thank you. I agree with everything you've said. I did say at the county's meeting when we had this discussion that this is the alarm bells sounding, and there will be a two-tier system created. You just have to look at our Wi-Fi connection for our meetings and imagine students in the rural areas, and I think most of this is for high school students, so secondary education, but you know, trying to get on, falling behind, you know, that whole thing, not having the interaction with friends and classmates. And we heard today about, you know, some of the organizations that do deal with mental health and violence and that type of thing, needing to have access to the kids at school because it's a safe spot for those kids to receive counseling services. I think that, I don't know, with you bringing this up, I almost think we should come up with our own motion, not to add more work to the clerk, but instead of piggybacking onto the counties, I think coming with very strong words and basically saying that online education is basically setting up the rural rural communities of Ontario for a second-class education, and our rural students deserve to have the same exact education that they would if they were in downtown Ottawa. So that's kind of where I come in, and I appreciate and applaud your comments, Councillor Mellon, and yep, that's all I'll say. It's we need to be strong on this, and when the school board is willing to say that it's a problem, even though they somewhat suggested it might be a solution at one point, then you know that it's not working. So thank you.
Any, Councillor Lewis, comments?
I have to agree with both my colleagues. I think, once you take the children out of the school, you're taking a lot out of their life. And I think education and having friends at school are two very important things in life. If kids don't grow up and play together, I think we're headed down the wrong routes. I support this letter from the counties, but I also agree with Deputy Mayor Gardner. I think maybe we should have a letter of our own, because used people fought very hard to keep our schools open, so we didn't lose them. And I think if they go to this virtual, we're going to lose a pile of schools, and I don't think that's fair for the students. And I've watched my grandchildren doing their schoolwork, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm old fashioned, but I'm not impressed with it. So I honestly think we should do our own letter, and I do agree with Councilor Mellon and Deputy Mayor Gardner. Thank you.
Okay, I don't disagree with council's thinking on this. My suggestion to you is that we support the county's letter, and if do you want to go on and make our own letter up for this meeting, or do you want to come up with a letter for the next meeting and then circulate it on? I need some direction on that, because we do have a motion on the floor right now, and I believe it's worthy of approval, but I do agree that maybe you want to have your own letter too. So, Councilor Mellon, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Mayor Byvelds, and I also agree with Deputy Mayor Gardner. I would go ahead and support the county letter tonight, and have somebody a whole lot better writing, letters. Deputy Mayor Gardner and Ethan maybe can get together on this one, Shannon, whoever, and pen a letter. Don't pull any punches. I don't think I have to worry about saying that, but give it to them and let them know what our South Dundas feelings are, and we can maybe bring this back at the next council meeting. But tonight I would support the counties and maybe pen our own letter too.
Mayor Gardner?
I think that's great. I think it can't, it's been said, they're not listening, so we'll support the counties, and then we'll pen our own letter and maybe space it out a bit and send it out in a month from now to, it really needs to speak to strong language about just the division of equity. We need to speak to equity for our rural students, so.
Okay, Councilor Lewis, you're on board with that?
I am on board that 110%. Thank you.
Okay, so my suggestion to the council is that they, if they feel still strongly about it, they approve this motion, and we'll leave it with Deputy Mayor Gardner, because she's very passionate on this subject, along with our staff, to come up with a strongly worded letter that we will send to the minister, and not only send it to the minister, but along with our our local MPP and any other all other municipalities in Ontario that are rural, so they know what's going on, and making sure that they're well informed of our feelings, and hopefully they can support us. So does that work for you, Mr. Clerk, and the CEO?
Yep, no, we'll work with Kalen, and we'll tap into the deputy mayor's expertise as well, and we'll create a letter, and we'll bring it back to our next council meeting for final review.
Okay. Anything further on the motion that's on the table?
No.
Seeing none, all heard the motion, those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Thank you, Councilor Mellon and the rest of council on that. So, Deputy Mayor Gardner, you have two issues or items that you'd like to bring to council's attention today. So the first one is your compost and compost days.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Byveld. Simple, just wondering if maybe next council meeting, we could get a report on feedback we received at the compost days and whether or not there's a possibility to put a couple more. I know I'm a gardener and I've got bags in my garage, and I'm sure that if we can look at it, get some feedback, see what the costing was and see what the possibilities were. I'd just like if the staff could maybe explore that and bring it back as an option.
Shannon?
Yep, absolutely. No, we can bring a report back on June 28th that kind of summarizes how the 2 days went, one in Morrisburg and one in Iroquois, as well as look at some options of offering some additional days throughout the summer. We'll work on a report and bring that back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rest of council good with that? Okay, good. Next one. Geez, I got a bunch of hand scratching here. What was your second question? Sorry.
Just the question on the farmers market.
Oh, I see farming. I said, where's the rest? Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Farmers market.
just a question. It's my understanding, just with speaking with members of the community, that we've had a bit of a juggle with the farmers market in Morrisburg specifically. And I know last year we were right on the cusp, though there she is, right on the cusp of not being able to run it because we had to have 3 vendors registered. I'm just wondering if options are being looked at or what the status is. Did we get some more vendors or are we at risk to not have some of the vendors there?
Yeah, so one of our vendors from last year we lost from the farmers market because they have a lovely barn going up on County Road 2, just east of,
It's beautiful.
I guess, between Iroquois and Morrisburg.
Yeah.
And then we do have one applicant signed up for the farmers market in Morrisburg, but we haven't received any others.
Okay.
The thing is, the bylaw for the farmers market does not require 3 vendors. That comes from a request from the BIA. So if council wants to proceed and allow for 1 vendor to be at the farmers market, that's completely up to you.
Okay. I was under the impression it was, okay, I guess we just need a report so we can act on it. I was also going to suggest that if we couldn't for whatever reason do it, then maybe we could work out a deal even with the pop-up shops or that type of thing. So, okay, I don't want those small businesses to feel the impact because there's a couple that have been there a long time. So, okay.
Okay. Anything from any other members of council on that? Okay, are we good?
I guess it's just a report, right, Nicole? Like just letting us know the status, I guess?
Yeah, I can provide a report and maybe an action request to proceed with the amount of vendors.
Okay. One thing we need to do, and it's a challenge, and maybe we need to reach out to Tom Manley of the Eastern Ontario Food Network to see if he can help us with the our farmers market and how it struggles, and maybe he can A, have ideas, and B, find people that would like to participate. I fully understand that the one vendor has bought their farm and has certainly looked like they're working really hard 6 days a week to get to where they are, and considering the land they're working with and where they started, they've come a long way. And I drive by there most days, twice a day, back and forth, and you can see the progress every day. So I'm certainly glad to see what they're doing, and I think I'm excited to see what they're going to provide the residents of South Dundas in their location. Unfortunately, it does take away from our farmers market, but we have to try a little bit harder to see if we can have people sell somewheres in South Dundas, either in Morrisburg or Iroquois. I know, you look at the one in Long Sault that runs on Fridays. I don't know if it's running yet, but when it does, it just blows everybody away. So, and I know they have a different type of marketplace. Yes, Nicole?
We do actually have a really great farmers market in Williamsburg. It's located on
Yeah.
Jay's Tire property, so that is private property. So
It's
that's
beautiful.
part of, yeah, it's really nice. It is part of the reason why we're lacking in vendors, because they are going to other locations.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can do, the drama support.
Thank you.
Okay, you're good, Deputy Mayor? Okay, so, we had a presentation this evening from, Darlene, name escapes me, and Dawn concerning the Canadian Horse Monument. And as enthusiastic as they are, they did have a lot of requests for council to consider. Before we ask staff to look at their requests and come to us with advice on that, I want to ensure that council has some inkling to try to go down this road with the group. I'm not saying that the project is not worthy, but it does come with some challenges, not only to us, but if we go ahead to staff as well. So we'll go around the circle. Give me your thoughts. I know you've already said some thoughts and you were quite blunt at letting them know that there's some challenges here, but I do not want to just hand this over to staff with council saying no in the end. So, yeah, Mayor Gardner.
Thanks, Mayor Byveld. I think it's an extremely worthwhile project. I think the municipality is the wrong place for this project to generate from. I think that the St. Lawrence Parks Commission stands to benefit. I think that this group is very passionate. I think it's, like I said, my comments aren't on a worthwhile project. It's just we have a lot of groups that have very worthwhile projects. And when you have, say, $100,000 donation or whatever, they're already halfway there or 3/4 of the way there. And I think that with everything that we have to do and all the items we have to deal with, I think that groups, the thought process is very old school to come to the municipality. I've done that with groups like the first Save the Terrain project. We came to the municipality administrated the project. I think with donations and that type of thing, I think now it's an extremely worthwhile project, but I think that the group needs to form a formalized group and go through the process of incorporation and all the other things that all the other groups are having to do. And I think that we've got our plate full. And I also do think that I have concerns about it being on St. Lawrence Parks Commission property. I think that they will be the majority beneficiary for that project. It's highlighting something that they already do. And it's not going to, I don't believe it would add to our tourism detail at all. I think that just from the municipality standpoint, I don't think that it's properly placed under the umbrella of the municipality.
Council Lewis?
After thinking about it after the presentation, it is a good presentation. But I think our staff, I think their plates are very full as it is. And as the deputy mayor said, the ones that are going to benefit from this is Upper Canada Village. I can't see where we as council is going to benefit from it. And it looks like they want us to do 75% of the work and they take the glory. I myself personally, I'm not saying it's not a good thing, but I believe it's just a little bit of out of our league to participate in this. Thank you.
Council Mellon?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into my feelings about the park commission. This isn't the time or the place for that. But if they're not going to take the lead, and this is a national, the horse was recognized nationally. Quebec has a charter or whatever. This isn't something I don't think that should be, coming back on the municipality. I think this is this firmly lands in the Parks Commission hands, and Upper Canada Village, and they have to be the lead on this. They have to, be the ones, I think, as the main contributors financially and whatever. Maybe it's a great project. I'm not denying that, but I don't think we should be the lead on this. I don't think we should be a financial contributor to this right now. We've got enough things to spend our money on. And I think my advice to them is to lobby the blazes out of the Parks Commission and get the pressure on them to come forward with the financing of this and to administration of this. And I don't know, can they? I guess the Parks Commission can't offer tax receipts, because I think that's one thing. I guess they if they can't offer a tax receipt, but I mean that's putting that much more pressure on Sarah and Treasurer and Treasury and so. I think we should just back away from this for the time being, Mayor Bybels, and see how they make out with the Park Commission and, their own members as far as, the horse breeders, the Canadian Horse Breeders Association and whatnot. But I'm just, as much as it's a good project, I don't think we should be the lead on this.
Okay, as much as Sarah's popped into the view, I will say this, because I don't, no disrespect, Sarah, but I think council's not leaning to giving you any more work at this time. The Friends of the Forward House can go through the process of incorporating and being a charitable, and if the train group can do that, then this group's going to have to find the wherewithal to do it. I'm sure they can find some legal advice that would help them along at probably a reasonable rate. I think it's too big a thing for us to do at this time. And you're right that if it does land up being at the Discovery Center, and to be honest, I think it's the right place for it. The Parks of St. Lawrence and Upper Canada Village will be the major beneficiary of it, as much as it's somewhat indirectly in South Dundas. We all know that there's South Dundas tourism and there's the parks, and until that cooperation is 110%, I'm not still in favor. I know that the present staff at the parks, especially Holly Q, is trying to work with us on this and other items, along with the county's tourism. We're still got a long way to go. This is a big money project. It may be worth their effort, but I'm in agreement with council. I think it's something they're going to have to go a lot further down the road. Totally no disrespect to the group. I think they're certainly passionate about it, and I think with that kind of passion, they can come up with a solution that they'll work for us and themselves. Sarah, any final words?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say, in order for us to order issue donation receipts on this, it would have to be like on a South Dundas property. It needs to be a betterment to the municipality. So if it was to be at the Discovery Center, we wouldn't be able to issue the donation receipts.
Okay, so I guess that's we'll see where they go with the Parks Commission. If they think there's a worthy piece of soil in South Dundas that's on our property, and we as a group and a committee and the community think it's a worthwhile project, then we'll look at it further. Would that be fair? Okay, so can someone, Clerk Rivera, can you make sure you send the group a letter letting them know of council's stated wishes concerning their asks, please?
We'll do, Mayor Bybels.
Okay. With that, that's the end of that section. Are there any notices of motion tonight, Mr. Clerk?
Not this evening, nope.
Okay, so before we move into closed session, I'd like to thank council so far for their work so far. I'd like to thank all staff for participating and good reports. And I'd like to thank the audience for being part of our evening tonight. Motion, please.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that council proceed in camera pursuant to section 239(2)(e), A, and B of the Municipal Act, more specifically, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, security of the property of the municipality or local board, municipal property, and personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee.
All heard the motion, those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. And with that, there will be only the ratification bylaw after the closed session is brought back in the open, so, and adjournment. So all the business of tonight will have been accomplished. So thank you very much to the audience, and we'll be back in 2 weeks for our next meeting. So thank you.